was 9 years old, I started getting this rash on my face, and my parents didn't really know why. They just figured I'd been out in the sun a lot and it was just some kind of sunburn. But then I started getting joint pain in my wrist and fingers.
I was diagnosed about 6 years ago, and in the wintertime, I noticed that my fingertips were turning blue, and I just figured because it was cold outside, it wasn't a big deal. And then spring came along, and my fingers were still turning blue, and my toes were turning blue. So I figured it was a problem.
I was 10 years old. I was diagnosed very young, fairly healthy child. And one morning I just woke up and my foot was completely swollen.
My symptoms went back to in the 70s, and this was 94 before I really was that serious.
It's been devastating. It's changed my whole lifestyle. I used to be very active. I love sports. I had a full-time job. I had to give it up because I was working with children, and I picked up every single illness they had because I was so immunosuppressed.
Lupus is an autoimmune disease that can attack any part of your body. It's an inflammatory disease, and basically is what is happening is the body cannot tell the difference between healthy tissues and viruses. It can affect any part of your body, the heart, the joints, the skin. Nothing is left. There's different degrees, and it can affect different people in different ways. So one person may be very debilitated by the disease, and one person may just have the butterfly rash.
I have chronic headaches. I've had a headache every day for the past 2 years. But right now that's being managed with medicine. But the fatigue for me is tough because whenever I have a little bit of energy and I'm feeling good and I think I can do all these things, and all of a sudden I crash and I'm in the bed for like 2 or 3 days. So it's hard because you want to do so much, but your body just won't let you.
It's hard to explain the fatigue. It's not like being tired. It's a little bit like having the flu. It's the tired that just overwhelming. I can be at work, I do work, and by a certain time I just want to cry because I want to close my eyes.
For the most part, during the day, I'm pretty energetic, but at night I go to bed really early, sometimes around like 8 o'clock, because I get really tired at the end of the day. The side effects from the medication can sometimes be worse than the side effects that it's trying to get rid of, so it's been difficult dealing with that.
It's extreme fatigue. I was at a point where it was difficult getting out of bed, just difficult getting out of bed. So in the bone swelling with my knees.
I would like to have a better treatment than I have now. The treatment that I've had for the past 36 years has been devastating. It causes fractures of the bones. The complications that come from it are almost as difficult as the disease itself.
What we're using for medications are antimalarials, drugs that treat cancer, and prednisone, steroids, and all of these are toxic to our bodies. And it's bad enough having lupus, but the medications are doing much more damage, I think. In 50 years, no medication for lupus. Nothing. And no cure.
And with African American women, we're 3 times more likely to get lupus as any other race. So you really have to know your body, and you have to really be diligent with the doctors, because a lot of times when we go in there, our symptoms are so vague. And so the doctors are saying, you're just tired, or, you're imagining these symptoms. So you really have to know your body, and you have to stand up for yourself and, request that they do blood work and not be afraid to speak out.
Major source of our funding is through special events. We have walkathons throughout the state of Connecticut. This year we're going to be having 4 walkathons. It's really a dual goal for the walkathons. It's to fundraise, but it's also to create awareness. If you live in Connecticut, there are support groups throughout Connecticut, in the different areas of Connecticut, Fairfield County, Hartford County, and New Haven County. We offer support groups, so call the chapter. We can also connect you with physicians. We have a list of all the rheumatologists throughout the state of Connecticut.
I want people to know that lupus is a real disease and that I'm not making up this to get out of any extra work or anything. It's a real disease, and people need to know that it's out there so that we can find a cure.
That's why I'm here, so that I can get the word out and so that more people know, and so that the people who have lupus know that we need to stand up for lupus so that people know about us, so that we're not ignored, because that's the only way people are going to know.
Any way you can get involved and become an advocate for lupus is deeply necessary and deeply appreciated.